Hello, Lucy.
Hello.
Welcome to the exec listings for the role of JCR President. As you know, my name is Shanann and I am the JCR Chair.
Wait, sorry, I'm Elisa, I'm VP Welfare.
I'm Kieran, I'm the factor. I'm Kieran, I'm the outreach officer. I'm Callum, I'm senior threat.
I'm Shane, I'm JCR President. So we're going to have 20 minutes here. I'm going to have up to 10 minutes to talk about your manifesto and go through the policies and explain them if you like. And then after that we'll move on to questions, or you can, present for a short amount of time and move on to questions sooner. I've got the timer, so I'll keep an eye on that in your own time.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I'll just start a bit about why I want to be president and why I'm running. I just think that the past 3 years have just been like the best thing that's happened to me, especially the last 2 years being events officer, and kind of the opportunity to do it to be president next year and to lead such an amazing thing here would be an honour really, and I just don't really feel like I can turn it down. So yeah, it's done so much for me personally, and I've seen how much it's done for other people, and yeah, it means a lot basically. I really want this JCR as well to be for everyone, so I think obviously spend a lot of time trying to get people involved and being join this, do this, get involved, but I think it misses the point sometimes that not everyone wants to, and that's okay, because the whole point in the JCR is that it's about people here, and it's your university experience. You can do whatever you want to do, and it's obviously great if you want to get involved, and if you don't, it's equally great. So yeah, my policies kind of hopefully reflect this, and yeah, I think that I have the experience to effectively lead the JCR next year as the first year as an independent charity, and yeah, I feel like I've been very involved on exec, and then also I feel like I've got experience in different parts of college that really make me a well-rounded candidate. And yeah, just finally, my absolute priority as president would be just to maintain the community we have here, because I think it's just so unique to Milder. I talked to friends at different colleges, and they don't have anywhere near what we've got here in terms of friends in all different years and from different things, and yeah, I just think it's amazing. It's something that needs to be preserved. So yeah, now just moving on to my policies. Firstly, going to talk about the Freshers Formal. So I know we spoke about this in the exec meeting this year, because of, obviously the formal turnout's been quite low, so we all spoke about it, and I think Andrew and Shane have already spoken to college about it, but I just really wanted to put this on just to make sure that it happens, and work with college to launch it, kind of make sure that we get the excitement among the freshers spread about formals, and just make it a really, really big thing. And then this is kind of about freshers moving on through the year. I think it would be really nice if the president had more of an increased presence with freshers, and this can be just me kind of going knocking on doors in the first few weeks of the year, and introducing myself and explaining things, but also just kind of building up relationships with freshers in just an informal setting, just friendly, so that I'm an approachable person to speak to. And then moving on to kind of welfare in the JCR, I think this is something we can really take on next year, now that the independent charity will be set up. So the FACSO is here, and kind of the president can be more kind of involved in other areas of Nordic life, so democracy and events and everything like that. And I think it's really good because people often put off when they're thinking about applying for roles about whether it's going to affect their degrees, and I think just knowing that they're going to have support all through the year would really make people more engaged with it and more kind of up for running for things. And then just moving on from this, I kind of want to position myself as an extension of Talk and Support, just so that the volunteers who kind of run the pastoral team don't feel too overloaded, that they know that I'm always there, and also again just making sure that I'm an approachable person for people to speak to around college. And then for events, so I've put on here about an Epiphany Ball, and that's something I'd be really excited to take on, and I think that I could do that because of my experience. I could, obviously it's a lot for the events officer and head of ball to do, as students, but I think with my experience, I think that I could help them do that if there was the demand to do it, and find somewhere in the calendar early on that it could go, that could work for everyone. And then I think that inclusivity in events is really important, so that kind of they're accessible to everyone. I think subsidising things like Mildred Day and Jam by the Lake is really important, so that kind of enhance the college spirit, the events we hold here, and I think just that time of the year after exams, like paying another £15 for an event like that is a lot for people, and I think it would be a really good way for the levy to be spent, because everyone kind of can do that. Like obviously not everyone joins sports teams or anything, or everything, they're obviously heavily subsidised, but putting on something like an event which is accessible to everyone and spending the money there, I think would be really good. And then just moving on to kind of overall like governance of the JCR, they're kind of boring points, but kind of necessary, I think, just for the day-to-day running. I think so many people don't know how to do things, and constantly there's loads of questions floating around, and there isn't anywhere that's kind of tells people what to do. So that would make things a lot more efficient. And then also making JCR meetings a bigger deal, I think would be really good for democracy, and just kind of the hype around elections, I think would be really good. Transparency is really important to me as well. Just keeping the JCR regularly updated about everything when we're becoming an independent charity. I think also we could do more with the MCR, just meeting regularly with them, with the MCR president, just to see anywhere that we can collaborate and do things to make things better for both common rooms. And then finally, Mildred's wider impact. I think that we do a lot of fundraising activities in the JCR, and I think these could be better supported and kind of streamlined so that they don't overlap with one another, and then pushed more centrally so they'd have more support from the JCR. I think that could fit really nicely into the outreach and fundraising role. And then the environment as well. I think that just working with all the different committees that do things in college and kind of making sure that they keep an environmental focus so that we reduce the waste. And then just continue to talk with college staff and Green Common, always looking for new ways that we can develop this. So thank you.
Question is,
what are the issues with formals at the moment, and how are you going to make them better?
So I think a big issue is the sign up, the fact that no one does really sign up. I think they need to have more of a hype around them, because obviously at other colleges they're such a big part of life, and I think that's like dwindled away a bit in recent years. I think the freshers formal would be a really big part of that next year, pushing that with the freshers, because obviously they're obviously already in college. I remember when I was a fresher we signed up to every single formal, because you're here anyway. So I think that's really important. And then also I do think we started to do it more recently, but just setting aside a specific budget, it can be literally as small as like £30 to £50 per formal, but just making sure that, because we don't have them every week, or as like frequently as other colleges, we make them like really nice. So we do have like a banner that's up that people can take photos with. We do make it like we decorate it, make it a really nice thing, and then kind of encourage student bands to play afterwards as well.
So whose responsibility would it be to do that? To do the decorations, get the band in for a particular form?
So it's dwindled away in previous years, but it used to be the assistant events officer would work closely with the vice president to do that. I think just making sure that they communicate and they ensure that happens. I think it's also about publicising them far enough in advance and making that exciting. Really important.
On the changes to the role of outreach,
Mm-hmm.
an outreach officer. So if they were to, would the outreach officer in the executive adopt the fundraising events from the events officer? Would it be a partnership between the two officers overseeing the committees?
I think it will be up to whoever's in the role to really make it their own. I don't think it would be like a complete distinctive kind of like you're doing this, you're doing that. But I think working together just to kind of I think so say for example, I know that like GymCom do like fundraisers and things like that. That would be under kind of the outreach bracket. If they were but on things like, for example, the fundraising events like Duck Do, I think it would be good to have that outreach and fundraising officers' input and the event officers' input, just to kind of make sure that both elements, like the fundraising experience and the events experience, can kind of tie in together. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
How would you seek to resolve conflicts between students and staff? College staff, that is.
As in like people in roles that.
Yeah. So I mean, it could be a number of things. It could be that students want to do something.
Yeah.
And college disagree and don't want to do it. It could be that a member of staff or the staff have an issue with a member of your exec or a student, and vice versa. That maybe people in your exec or your students have problems with members of college staff. So I mean, there are two slightly different things there. But.
Well, I think essentially you're like accountable to the students, so I think it's really important you're always like transparent with them, and kind of get their sides across. But also, I guess it's just a balance, like knowing it would like kind of dependent on the situation, but making sure that you're staying like on college's side, and like seeing where they're coming from, and kind of like bringing that to the students, and vice versa, really, just like being the middle person that can kind of represent both points of view and kind of hopefully find like a happy medium. But I think it's also important to like make the students know that you're supporting them fully. Yeah.
Got another question if no one else has any.
Yeah.
Well, we've got plenty of time left, but how would you summarise the role of JCR president?
I think it's I think it's really different to everyone. Every person that would take on the role would like kind of put their own take on it. But like to me, I think that it's really important that the president is kind of like an overarching person in the JCR that everyone kind of relate to and know and approach, and is kind of ultimately responsible for ensuring that everyone can do what they want to do, like within reason, obviously, but can help out whenever's needed with I don't know, like the sports clubs, like all the outreach, like everything we do in the JCR together, they're kind of enabling that to happen. But yeah, I think it's the